Today we are going to go over the Unit 9 test. Number 1 says the circle graph shows how Tremaine divided his time on the computer last week. Tremaine uses the computer a total of 30 hours last week. How many more hours did Tremaine use the computer to play games than to do research? So I'm going to highlight some important parts. It wants to compare play games. So that would be in this area right here. Play games compared to do research, which is right here. So since we're wanting to figure out how many more hours he did it, he played games compared to do research, we need to first find the difference in the percentages. So we're going to take 25%. We're going to subtract it by 5%. So when we do that, we get 20%. Now we're going to use our proportion that we have learned to use. So we put two blank fractions equal to each other. We're going to have our percent on the right side. So we have 20% over 100%. And then our total would be right here in our problem, 30 hours. That goes on the bottom left. Our question mark or X can go in the top left. Now that we have our proportion set up, we're going to cross multiply. So we do 30 times 20. So when we multiply that out, we get 600. So now we have 600 up top. We have to divide down. So 600 divided by 100 just means I move my decimal 2 times to the right to get 6. So our answer would be 6 hours. Number 2 says, Ashley asked her friends to weigh their cats and dogs at home. She displayed the results in the box plots shown below. Which statement is supported by the data in the two box plots? So let's look at each answer choice and see if we can eliminate some. A says the median of the cat's weight is greater than the median of the dog's weight. So the median is the middle line inside the box. So a cat's median is 10 and a dog's median is 13. So if we write it out, dogs equals 13, cats equals 10. That tells us that our dog's median is more, so A would be wrong. The next one says the range of cats' weights is the same as the range of the dog's weights. So when we do range, we do the top, the maximum minus the minimum of each one. So when we do cats, that would be 13 minus 4. When we do that, we get 9. For dogs, we would do 20 minus 4 to get 16. So since they are different, B would be wrong. Now C says the interquartile range, or IQR, of the cat's weights is greater than the IQR of the dog's weights. So the IQR, or interquartile range, is just the top part of the box. So the Q3 minus our Q1, which is the bottom part of the box. So for cats, we would do 12 minus 8, which gives us 4. And for dogs, we would do 15 minus 9 to give us 6. So this says the interquartile range of the cat's weight is greater. Here we just found out dogs is greater. So C would not be our answer. So D should be our answer, but let's go ahead and figure it out and make sure. D says the minimum value of the cat's weights is the same as the minimum value of the dog's weights. So the minimum is the bottom part of the line. So for cats is 4 and dogs is 4. So they are the exact same. So cats is 4, dogs is 4. That is the same. So D is our answer. Number 3 says the price of a television is $245. The sales tax rate is 8%. What's the amount of sales tax? So the first thing I'm going to do is do a proportion where we have 8% over 100%, and our total price is in the bottom left. We have our X or a question mark up top left. From here, we're going to cross multiply. So we have to do 245 times by 8. We get 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36, carry the 3. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. So we get 1960. Now we have to divide down. Anytime we divide by 100, all we do is move our decimal 2 times to the left. So we go 1, 2 to get 1960. So that would be B. Number 4 says the table below shows Davin's budget last month. Approximately what percent of Davin's monthly budget was spent on groceries? So the first thing is we have to figure out our total. So let's make another column down here and write our total in. So we add up our first, and I'm going to teach you all a little highlighting trick. If you highlight all the numbers that should be added together before we start, it should make our problem easier. They're not all the way lined up like we would do if we were writing it out, but since we highlighted, it should be a little bit easier to see what we need to add together. So the first column when we add up is 0. The next one, we are going to do 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. 13 plus 9 is 22. And 22 plus 8 is 30. So we're going to put our 0, carry the 3. So now we're going to do this column. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So we end up getting $1,100 as our total. Now, it said in our question approximately what percent of Davin's monthly budget was spent on groceries. So we're going to highlight groceries because that's an important part. Then we're going to go up top and also highlight the column or the row groceries. So that'll tell us what we are using for our problem. Now, we are going to make a proportion. Now, we're missing our percent because that's what we are looking for. So that's always our top right. And percents are always over 100, so 100's on the bottom. Now, our total, we always put on the bottom left. And usually we are looking for that top left, but here we are given our top left. So now that we have our proportion set up, we're going to cross multiply. Anytime you multiply by 100, you're just adding 2 zeros to the end. So here we get 13,000. Then we have to divide down. Now this is a big division problem because there's a lot of zeros at the end. When you have zeros at the end of both of the numbers, we can cancel out the same amount of zeros. So we can cancel out 2 on the bottom, so we can cancel out 2 on the top. This is a much better division problem now. So we are going to put 130 in the box and 11 on the outside. So now we can divide. 11 goes into 1, 0 times. 11 goes into 13 one time. And that's 11. 2 left over. Bring down our 0. 11 goes into 20 one time as well. That is 11. We have 9 left over. We bring down our 0. 11 goes into 9 8 times. Now we did have to add that, so we have to add a decimal as well. Since we added the 0, the decimal has to be there. Now 11 goes into 9 8 times, we said. That is 88. Now that should be enough times to round our answer to the closest thing of 12. Number 5 says the table below shows some of Jaylene's expenses for the month of August. Which list shows only fixed expenses? So we have to remember a fixed expense is something that doesn't change from month to month. It's the same thing over and over. So let's look at our expenses. An apartment rent. So apartments usually sign a contract and it's for at least a year and it doesn't go up from month to month. So that would be a fixed. So let's go through and let's highlight anywhere that has an apartment. Let's grab the highlighter. So we have apartment here, apartment here. That would be it. Now let's keep going on. I'm going to keep the fixed as a highlight because we definitely want to keep the fixed color-coded. All right, the next one, groceries. Well, groceries can change month to month depending on how much you eat or if you're having any extra parties or anything else. So that is a variable expense. We do not want groceries. So anywhere that there's a grocery, we're going to cross out, and that would eliminate that answer. So now we're already down to 2 answer choices. Next one, gasoline. With gasoline, again, it depends on how much you drive. So it could change month to month, meaning that is a variable expense. So we can cross out gasoline. Anywhere down here, we can cross it out. Luckily, those 2 answer choices are already crossed out for us. Next one, car payment. Car payment is the same as an apartment. You typically sign a certain amount of years that you pay it on, and you pay the same amount every month. So that would be a fixed expense. So let's highlight that yellow because we want to keep our fixed expenses yellow. So right now, that's one really good option in C. But let's get the last expense and see what that is. So for entertainment, again, depends on how much you do each month. So it can change. So that would be a variable expense. So anywhere there's entertainment, we can cross it out. Cross out that answer choice. So that would leave us with C as our answer. Number 6 says Dalton's uncle listed several of his assets and liabilities in a table. Based on this information, which of the following could be the assets and liability statement of Dalton's uncle? So let's go through the table up top and figure out which one is an asset and liability. I'm going to use red and green to describe the 2. I'm going to put my assets are going to be in green. Grab the highlighter. And my liabilities are going to be in red. So, a credit card debt. Anytime you have debt, that means you owe something to someone else, and that is a liability. So we're going to highlight that in red. And I'm going to go down in anywhere in an answer choice that there's credit card debt, I'm going to highlight it in red. So we got it in liabilities, which is good. Liabilities here, which is good. We have assets over here. Well, assets, we said, have to be green. So that would eliminate answer choice C right there. Let's keep going and look at D. We have credit card debt right here. So remember, our liabilities are red, and our assets should be green. So let's keep going on to the next thing. It says checking account balance. So that is money in your bank account. If that is your money, it is an asset. So let's go and find checking account balance in all of our answer choices. We have it in assets, which is good. Assets, which is good. And assets over here, which is good. We've already eliminated C, but to help us further, it is in liabilities, so C really is wrong. All right, next one, home value. So that's your home. If you sold it the next day, you would get the profit. So meaning that is an asset because that is yours. That is your value. So it is green. So anywhere that there's home value, we're going to highlight in green. So So this one's on the red side, so that would eliminate answer choice B right away. Let's keep going. We have home value there and home value here. So now we're already down to 2 answer choices. We're halfway through. Next one is our mortgage. A mortgage means you owe money back on your house. So that, since you owe it, is a liability. So anywhere there's mortgage, we're going to put red. So far, so good. Our 2 good answer choices are still there. Now our next one, an auto loan. If it is a loan, that means you owe it back to someone else. So it is a liability. So anywhere there's auto loan is going to be red. So far, 2 answer choices are still good. Now the last thing, a savings account balance. Since it's a savings account, that's money in your bank account, so it is an asset. So anywhere there's a savings account, we're going to put green. So far, we're still looking at A and D as our answer choices. Now let's look at those 2 answers a little more closely. When we look at A, we see that the assets add up to be more than the liabilities. When assets are more than liabilities, our net worth is positive. So A is looking pretty good. Let's look at D and see if we have anything different. So we have our assets at $99,000 and our liabilities at $79,000, meaning our assets are bigger than our liabilities, so our net worth should be positive. Since net worth is negative there, that cancels out that answer choice, so we get A as our answer. Number 7 says Shakira's monthly income is $2,500. Her monthly budget is represented by the circle graph below. Which part of Shakira's budget is equal to $175? So we need to set up our proportion. So there's a couple ways you could do it. You could do each percentage individually, or you can put the 175 into your proportion. I'm going to go ahead and put the 175 into our proportion. So we're looking for a percent. Percent's always over 100. Our total, which is 2,500, is always on bottom, or our total's always on bottom. And then our amount given is on top left. So from here, we're going to cross multiply. We learned earlier when you multiply by 100, you just add 2 zeros. So we get 17,500. Now we're going to divide down. Remember earlier, when your 2 numbers end in zeros, you can cancel out the zeros as long as it's the same amount of zeros on both the top and the bottom. So that's a much better division problem. So we have 175 divided by 25. So now we have to divide. 25 goes into 1 0 times, into 17 0 times, and into 175. Well, let's write out the multiples. 25, 50. That's 1, that's 2. 75, 3. 100 is 4. So 125 is 5. 150 is 6. So 175 would be 7. So it goes in 7 times. So that means our percent would be 7%. So when we look up here, we see that our 7% would be the gasoline. So gasoline would be your answer choice. That is answer choice A. Number 8 says the dot plot showed the numbers of hours teenagers spent on 2 different websites last week. Which statement is best supported by the data in the dot plots? So A says the mode, which means the middle, of the data for website K is greater than the mode of data for website L. So since mode is middle, this is where we have learned the cross-out method to get to the middle. So I'm going to use red for A. So I'm going to cross out the first one and the last one. Going to go back to the front, the back, front, back, all the way until I get my middle dot. So there's a lot here, but it is much easier than having to add everything up and make our answer choice. So here we get website K is 8. Let's use blue for website L. So again, start at the front, then the back. We're going to go until we meet the middle. Make sure you do one from the front, then one from the back every single time. So here we get 4. So L equals 4. So that shows us that website K's mode is greater. So A is a pretty good answer choice, but let's check the rest just to make sure. B says the range of the data for website L is equal to website K. So range, we do big minus small. So for K, let's do that in red. For K, we will have 14 minus 1, which would be 13. And for L, we would do 13, our biggest, minus our smallest of 1 to get 12. They are not the same, so that cannot be our answer choice. C says the distribution of data for website L is symmetrical. Symmetrical means the same on both sides. So if we look at website L, we can see that everything is shifted towards the left, so it's heavier on the left. Since that is the case, it is not symmetrical because it is not even on both sides of the graph. So the last answer choice, the distribution of data for website K is skewed to the left. So if it said website L, I would think that's a good answer choice because website L is skewed to the left. But website K is pretty much in the middle. Most of the data is in the middle. Nothing is all the way over here, or most of the data is not over here to the left. So since that is the case, answer choice D is not our answer. So A would be our answer. Number 9 says Philip created the net worth statement shown below. Based on the information in the statement, what is Philip's net worth? So luckily it already added our assets up for us and our liabilities up. So we know that net worth is assets minus our liabilities equals net worth. So since they've already added up, did the hard work, all we have to do is subtract. So we have 113,000. We have to subtract the liabilities of $71,500. So 0 minus 0 is 0. Same there. 0 minus 5 we can't do, so we have to borrow. This becomes 2, and this is 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 7 you can't do, so you have to borrow. So that's 11. That is 0. 11 minus 7 is 4. So we have two answer choices that are similar. We can eliminate C and A because those are different. But we do have to figure out if it's a positive or negative. We know that it is a positive or negative based on if our assets are bigger than our liabilities. So since the assets are higher, that is a positive answer. So we can eliminate D and our circle B because assets are greater than liabilities. Number 10 says the box plots show the links of the songs on 2 digital music players in minutes. Which statement is best supported by the information in the box plots? Answer choice A says the IQR or interquartile range of the data for music player X is equal to the IQR of the data for music player Y. So let's figure that out. I'm going to do X's in red. So that, again, is Q3, the top of the box, minus the bottom of the box, Q1. So that is going to be 6.5 minus 4.5 to get, this is for X, and that gives us 2. Now for Y, we're going to do 5 minus 4, which gives us 1. So since they are not equal, answer choice A is not our answer. Now let's look at B. B says the IQR range of the data for music player X is greater than the IQR of music player Y. Well, we just did that in the last problem, and X was greater, so B is a pretty good option. But let's check the others just to make sure. C says the median length of the songs on music player X is equal to the median length of the songs on music player Y. So again, the median is that line down the middle of the box. So the median for X was 5, and the median for Y was 4.5. So since X is not equal to Y, C cannot be our answer. Now D says the median length of the songs of X is less than the median of Y. Well, we figured that out in the last one, and we saw that X was greater than Y. So D cannot be our answer, and we are left with what we thought, B. 11 says Samuel had $35,450 in earned wages for the year. If Samuel paid 15% income tax on his earned wages, how much income tax did he pay? So, what we have to do first is make our proportion. We have the total amount down on the bottom left. We have our percent given, top right, and percent is always over 100. We have our question mark, top left. From here, we have to cross multiply. So we're going to do 35,450, multiply it by 15. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22, carry the 2. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27, carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. We're done with that, so I'm going to cross out everything associated with it. I'm going to add an x for place value. Now, 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 3 is 3. Now we need to add it all up. We have 0, 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. Carry the 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. Put the 3, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. So now we still have to do the second part of the answer, and that's divide by 100. When we divide by 100, all we do is we move our decimal 2 places to the left. So we should get 5,317.50, which is answer choice C. Number 12 says the table shows Peter's net worth statement. Assets are shown as positive numbers and liabilities are shown as negative numbers. The value of Peter's house is not given. So it says Peter's net worth is $101,800. Based on this information in the table, what is the current value of Peter's house? So first thing is we need to add up our assets. So we have assets over here. We're going to do 900 plus 16,900 plus 4,500 plus 1,200. So we're adding up. We have 9 plus 9 is 18. 18 plus 5 is 23. 23 plus 2 is 25. Carry the 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. Carry the 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So we get $23,500 for our assets. Now we need to add up our liabilities. Let's put that over here. So we have 3,400. And we have 16,300. And that's it. So we need to add these up. 0, 0, 4 plus 3 is 7, and 3 plus 6 is 9, and 1 is left there. So we get 19,700. Now, since we are already given our net worth and we're missing a value, we actually have to work kind of backwards. So normally we add our assets and we subtract our liabilities, but here we're going to do the opposite since we're working backwards. So we're going to add the liabilities. So we have 101,800. We're actually going to add the liabilities, which is 19,700. 8 plus 7 is 15, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 9 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, and we have 1 there. Now, we're going to actually subtract the liabilities, or the assets, I'm sorry. Subtract the assets. Since we are working backwards, we flipped and did the opposite of what we normally do. So now we are going to subtract 23,500. We get 0 minus 0 is 0, 0 minus 0 is 0, 5 minus 5 is 0, 1 minus 3 we can't do, so we have to borrow. This is 11, that is 1. So 11 minus 3 is 8. 1 minus 2 you can't do, so you have to borrow. So now that's 11 minus 2, which is 9. That leaves us with our answer of C. Remember, on this problem, we had to work backwards, so that's why assets and liabilities flipped what they normally were.